look at Jesse Levine, you can tell he's a bodybuilder since he has bulging muscles like a bodybuilder. But what you might not know is that in 2004, Jesse Levine was in a terrible car accident. He lost his right leg in the accident and had numerous other injuries and broken bones. After the accident, he had to learn to walk again, but he has since gotten into the best shape of his life, and he's now working to enter a bodybuilding contest. Jesse, welcome to American Voices.
Thank you. How you doing?
Good. Tell us about the accident.
The accident happened on July 28th, 2004. I don't remember exactly the details of what caused me to lose control of the car, but one thing I remember is I felt the back end of the car come out, and the next thing I knew, I was stopped in front of a tree, and I looked down, I saw that I didn't have my right leg anymore, and I actually went to unbuckle myself from the car to try and get onto the side of the road. I was on the LI service road trying to wave down help for somebody to stop, and I noticed that my right arm was not even where it was supposed to be either. It was my right hand was where my right elbow was. So I took off my seatbelt, my left arm, and I kind of pulled myself out of the car, and fortunately, seconds later, somebody pulled up, and I used his bump as a tourniquet around my right thigh, and he saved my life. So this guy, if he didn't show up when he did, I wouldn't have made it to the initial few minutes. So he called the ambulance. The ambulance came there very quickly. He loaded me into it, and he disappeared. He didn't even give a name or anything. And this guy basically just was there, saved my life, and disappeared.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. I hope one day I have an opportunity, if he ever comes forward, to thank him.
Maybe he's listening right now.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, I mean,
hope so.
That's the great story about America, right?
Yeah, there's still people out there that you hear a lot of negative things today and a lot of bad news, but there are people who just do things without, looking for anything in return just because it's the right thing to do.
Oh, you just pass it on, pass the good deed on.
Yeah.
So you lost your right leg, and you just said, I'll get a prosthetic leg, and I'll be okay.
Yeah.
How were you able to be so positive?
One of the first things that went through my mind when I saw that my leg wasn't there anymore was, I remember, I don't know if it was somewhere in my subconscious from many years ago, but I remember seeing a special on, I think it was like a Channel 13 thing, many years ago about prosthetics. I remember seeing somebody running with a prosthetic, and I knew immediately I'd be like, okay, if somebody else is doing it, I'll do it, and I'll be okay. And I always had a mindset where I never thought negatively. I always thought it always worked out for me. It was almost like a stubborn aspect of me. I always just thought if somebody could do it, I'll do it, and I'll be fine.
What was the recovery process?
Well, along with being the amputation, I also shattered what's called my calcaneus, the heel bone, in 3 separate pieces. So I have 2 screws put into my left foot to hold that together. And I ruptured my Achilles tendon also on my left foot. And also I shattered my pelvis, and my right arm I had to have a plate and a few screws, 6 screws on my right arm. Had a lot of vertebrae fractures. So I was pretty much laying on my back for a solid couple months. And once I was able to start sitting upright, all the muscles were atrophied at this point. So just the use of a prosthetic was a very slow, and it was a painful process. Initially, the first time I put it on, it brought me down a little bit. It made me feel like, oh my God, am I really going to be able to do what I thought I was going to do with this? And it was probably a few days where I was just laying down, staring at the thing, looking at the prosthetic, kind of hoping it would somehow just work on me, like just go onto my body on its own, and I'll start walking. But actually I started by just wearing it and laying down on a couch and just getting used to the feeling of it being on my body. Slowly, day by day, I would take a few steps, and before I know it, I got used to walking with it, and then my goal was I wanted people not even to realize that there was anything wrong with me. I wanted them to think I was 100%.
So you're working now to enter a bodybuilding contest.
Yeah, well, actually, I just finished. I did my first one.
What is a bodybuilding contest?
It's the one that I entered. It's called Physique. It's bodybuilding, but it's not as extreme in terms of, it's not about being these tremendous monsters. It's more about being more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. It's something that I do be more of a big surfer-looking guy. It's about putting on a good amount of muscle, while keeping your body fat very low. So that's more of what the class I'm in. It's not about just being an all-out, cartoonish-looking person. It's something that's more pleasing that the common person would want to look like.
So you'll be competing with other people who are not amputees.
Oh, no. I'm the only one walking out there with the prosthetic leg.
Huh. So a lot of people who are listening, they're not motivated to get into good shape. So how did you do it, and how did you stay positive and determined? Do you have any advice to them about how they should take care of their body?
Honestly, taking the gym, without a question of doubt, I believe if it wasn't for the fact, and the doctors told me, if it wasn't for the fact that I was into the weight training and taking care of my body in terms of just the physical aspect and nutritional aspect, they said I probably wouldn't have made it through the initial impact in the car accident, let alone, I was in a drug-induced coma for 4 days, and a lot of the doctors said they don't know if I was going to make it through the first week or how I was going to be, and they all said the fact that I was in good shape played a crucial role in it, and the fact that I worked out before, it motivated me so much to get myself back into shape once I was able to start working out. Like, when you work out and you're in good shape, people treat you differently, without a question. But, it's true. You see a person, walk into a room, you see that they're built, they're in good shape, that you quickly think of them differently. And when you work out, you feel good. And there is scientific aspects in terms of when you work out, you release endorphins. It's the best natural antidepressant on earth.
The endorphins, right? The endorphins.
Yeah, without a question. Yeah, it's a real thing. After losing my leg, I'm sure everybody goes through times in their life where they're, not feeling good, they're depressed, dealing with, or it could be anything. And they don't want to get out of bed for whatever reason. They don't want to deal with life. And I, obviously, myself, have gone through these things, a lot of it relating to the fact of, this sucks. I was in great shape, and I had everything going for me, and now I had to lose my leg. Why did this happen to me? But what I know every day, I'm in the gym almost 7 days a week. And I'm 100% sure, and I know this, and that's what I'm doing. And when I leave the gym, when I'm done working out, by the time I walk out the doors, I feel so great about myself. I still feel so positive.
So you've said that since the accident, people seem more comfortable opening up to you. Why do you think that is?
Prior to the accident, when I was in the gym, and as it applies to anybody, it could be a little intimidating walking up to somebody who looks like they're in good shape, especially say it's your first day in the gym and you're uncomfortable and you're overweight and you don't feel great about yourself, you don't feel very confident. It's hard to go up to somebody who looks like they're in great shape and start asking them questions. Sometimes you might feel uncomfortable about it, but when you see a person who is missing a leg, you see them and you know that they're dealing with something also. They're dealing with something that you don't want to be dealing with. No matter, I don't care how overweight you are or whatever, physical condition you're dealing with. When you go into a gym and you see a guy missing one leg, you don't want to switch shoes with him. You're happy with the way you are. But if you see this guy walking around one leg and you see he's in a good spirits and he's in great shape, it makes it easier for you to go over to him and say, and open up and say to him, I'm having trouble losing weight, or I'm having, dealing with this in my life. It makes them more comfortable to speak to me. And I honestly, I would never have thought that, I never thought about this until recently, that, dealing with the tragedy that I went through, losing my leg, is a little bit of a blessing. I have a platform now to speak to people who are going through things in life, and they feel comfortable talking to me because they see that I'm dealing with my own struggles also.
Right. Do you have a story? Tell us a story about how someone did that.
Very often, I'll train late at night. I go to a gym that's open 24 hours, and often I'll go there very late, sometimes around midnight. And often late at night, I'll see a lot of people who are very overweight, and it's a common thing. A lot of people who are overweight, they're not very comfortable with the way they look. They'll go at night because they feel a little intimidated working out in the gym, and because they don't feel comfortable with the way they look. And often there's one guy not too long ago, and he came up to me and he shook my hand. He said, I see you here, all the time, and I want to tell you, I think about it regularly. You motivate me on a regular basis. The fact that I know that you're going to the gym and you're doing this, why am I not going to do it? And I never even thought that I had that ability, until I started hearing it from people. I never thought I could be a type of person that could motivate an individual. I never thought about that about myself. I thought I just enjoyed working out. It was fun, and now I have a whole new reason to, to push myself. I feel that I myself could help another person reach their goals and do what they want to do, because they see that I'm doing it at such a disadvantage. And they might be saying to themselves, like, well, it's too hard for me, but they see me doing it, so they're like, if he's doing it, then what the hell am I complaining about? And it feels so great that they feel comfortable saying this to me. And I know for a fact that if I never went through this accident, they just saw me walking around, another guy in the gym who's built, they probably wouldn't want to come up to me and just open up to me and talk to me the way they do.
So in a way, it was a gift to you. Because
without a question. It took me many years to recognize this. It was 9 years ago I lost my leg, and it almost, when I was in the hospital, a person came up to me, another amputee came up to me, and he said to me, throughout the years, all the connections he'd made and what he's learned after going through the accident, if he had the opportunity to get his leg back and lose what he learned, he wouldn't do it. And when he first said that to me, I was like, yeah, right, dude. I don't believe you. You're just saying that because that's probably either in your best interest, or of course you're going to say that, or, of course you're going to have to tell me something like that. And I didn't believe it. And it wasn't for many years that I started to understand what he meant, because since my accident, the people I've met and just the things that I've learned about life and the different perception that I have now and the understanding of what's important has changed so much, and I've just such a different feeling about life. And the truth of the matter is, I wouldn't change it for anything. If I had that opportunity now to go back to that moment and not go through what I went through, and I lose what I know now, what I have now, I wouldn't change it.
So why is what you've learned more important to you than having a leg?
Well, because the things I know now, prior to my accident, the things that stressed me out were things that would never stress me out now. It was simple things. For example, it's very common cliche, very common is people stress themselves out so much about money issues, like such a big thing, like little small things, money issues, I don't know, insignificant things about maybe having a scratch on your car or something small. And I felt the same way, and a lot of things like that would bother me, and they don't affect me anywhere like remotely close like they used to. Like in my head, everything I feel is it fixable? Is it going to be possible for me to correct this in the future, or is it permanent? And I've noticed that most things aren't permanent. Most things you could fix. I see all day, every day, people upset about trivial things, and it's understandable because, they might not have anything to compare it to, or for whatever reason, the things that bring them down that used to affect me also, but they just don't affect me anymore. And honestly, I feel that I'm a happier person now every day of my life. As crazy as that sounds.
So how have you changed emotionally since the accident?
Emotionally, I'm actually a big thing. I'm a lot more compassionate towards other people's issues. That's one thing I've noticed about myself. I'm more understanding of loss. I think I never felt prior. I was only 21 years old when I lost my leg. Not that I'm old. I'm 31 now, but prior to my accident, I don't think I ever understood the feeling of a great loss. And it sounds a little weird losing a leg, but compared to, say, losing a family member, but that was one of the hardest things for me to deal with and accept. And after going through that, it made me a lot more understanding towards what other people deal with, and everything is relative to everybody. I said earlier that people get very upset about trivial things. To me, it's trivial. To them, it's the biggest thing. And I used to maybe not be as compassionate about some things, but now I'm a lot more understanding because I have felt a strong loss, and emotionally, it's made me more understanding of in general of other people and what people go through.
Well, Jesse, look, thanks for joining us on American Voices, and good luck in the next bodybuilding contest.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
I've been speaking with Jesse Levine.